camera's at 35%, but we're gonna try it again. My name is Matt, and I love comics. I try to read at least one comic a week, one full comic a week, if I can help it. So these are the comics and the graphic novels I read through April and in a little bit of March. So first thing I read end of March, beginning of April was Batman: The Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I have heard a lot about this comic. I've heard praises upon praises upon praises, and it holds up to it. It makes sense. It is a classic Batman mystery noir story. I think that it hits all the points that this kind of story needs. I think that it goes back to who Batman is, as a character. I feel like in more recent years, a lot of superheroes have been really kind of muddled and complicated and misconstrued. But I feel like this is a great example of who the Batman is. I think that it has a lot of heart. I think it has a lot of drama. I think it has a lot of intrigue. It's a little campy. It's a little dark. It has kind of everything you want in a Batman story. I understand why Nolan used this as the blueprint for a lot of his films, which are also one of my favorite Batman related medias. And having read this now, it just makes the context all that much more enjoyable while I'm watching those movies. So I really liked it. The only criticism, if you want to call it that, is I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Sale's art style. I have a lot of respect for Tim Sale. I know that he was a big part of the animated series, which is one of my favorite cartoons ever. I just don't always vibe with some of the choices he makes. It's a personal preference. It's not unbearable. I can read a Tim Sale comic just fine and be like, yeah, that feels right, but it's not my favorite. So that would be the only thing I would dock. But yeah, 8 out of 10, I would say. Solid, really good, lives up to the hype. And then after The Long Halloween, I read Batman: One Bad Day, The Riddler by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. I'm not sure how to pronounce that last name. I hate this book. I hate this book. I hate it so much. I don't even fucking don't piss on me and call it rain is how I feel about this book. This is neither a Batman nor Riddler story. The characters are so off from who they are. It's like reading two random characters. This is not the Riddler. This is so out of character as the Riddler. The story starts off with him randomly killing a man and then never going back to being, continuing the arc of what the fuck is he doing. At no point do I feel like I am reading a story about the Riddler. And at that point, it's why did I pick this up? What is the reasoning? What is the point of a book if you're not going to write the character? I had a whole rant a couple of vlogs back, which nobody watched, but I'm going to reiterate what I said there. When I read specifically something like a DC or a Marvel comic, I'm reading because of the character. I will pick up a book specifically because I like this character. I like this personality. I want to see what sort of situation that this personality can be done in. That's entertaining to me. That's the crux of a lot of mainstream comics for me. And I feel like you can play with a lot when it comes to a character, but if I feel like the core of the character is missing, then what's the point? You just made a new character and you're trying to tell me that it's the same character. It's not. This is not the Riddler. Don't fucking play with me. Tom King is on my fucking list. I have such beef with Tom King because he also wrote The War on Jokes and Riddles, which is another one of my least favorite Riddler stories. I think Tom King thinks that the Riddler should be Joker Diet. And it's just such a misinterpretation of the character that a lot of people fall into. And I hate it, and I don't want to read about it. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 10, and that's very generous. And the only reason I'm even saying 2 out of 10 is the artwork wasn't awful. There were some sequences that were very, very cool. So I'm going to give it that. I will say, however, while I was reading it, the one thing that did kind of crack me up is I'm going through it, and like I said, Riddler kills a guy, and at one point Bruce Wayne goes to the family of the guy, and it's supposed to be this really deep and intense emotional moment. And I was sucked out of it immediately because that's John Hamm. Why does Bruce Wayne look like John Hamm? That's John Hamm. That's John Hamm, but bigger. What? Like, I have bad respect for the artist. I'm not trying to knock him at all. But it's like, I can't take this seriously. I can't take it seriously that a man is upset and trying to comfort a family if he looks like John fucking Hamm. Anyways, like I said, 2 out of 10. Tom King is on my shit list for the rest of my life. After that, I had to take a little break from Batman, just a little bit of a breather, and so I picked up Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan, Cliff Chang, Matt Wilson, and Jared K. Fletcher. It's fine. I didn't know anything about it when I picked it up. It was very much just kind of a blind, oh, this looks interesting. And the plot is, in the early hours after Halloween of 1988, 4 12-year-old newspaper delivery girls uncover the most important story of all time. It's, without getting into like spoilers or anything, there's some time travel stuff, there's some interdimensional stuff. It's all very sci-fi adjacent. And I think that's just not for me. I've never been a big fan specifically of like time travel and interdimensional stuff. It's just not my vibe. But I think it's written very well. I think all the characters feel fully fleshed out. I like the art style, and I think this would be a really good one for people who like a cross between like Stranger Things and The Babysitter's Club. You know, I think that is sort of where this would fit really, really well. So for my own personal preference, I'm giving it like a 5.5, 6 out of 10. Then I picked up the most recent Poison Ivy run by G. Willow Wilson, Marcio, Takara, and Air Prianto. I picked up all 4. I only have the 3 right here, but I've picked them all up. I love this series. I thought this was such a breath of fresh air. Like I said, when I pick up a mainstream comic, I am looking for character. I picked it up specifically because I like this character and I want to see what the writer does with the character. And I think this is a great example of a writer understanding the character. I think that it is a great character study of who Poison Ivy is in the modern day. It follows her after losing her powers. She goes on this long road trip across America to spread spores, and basically it's like a suicide mission. As she does it, it's written in the narrative of her writing letters to Harley. And I think that that was a really clever way to do things, because it really shines a light on who Poison Ivy is, how she got where she is, and how she feels about what she's become. And I think that it takes its time, which I appreciate. I feel like sometimes with these kinds of stories, they don't give enough room for the character to breathe and to feel like a real person. I think that it did a very good job on that. I think that it does not make her too gimmicky. I think that it fleshes her out as a character very, very well. It has a lot of body horror and disturbing imagery of like plants and rotting, so that's kind of a warning if you're going into that, if you're kind of squeamish about that kind of stuff. But it's beautifully drawn, it's beautifully written. Yeah, I mean, it's maybe one of the prettiest comics I've read recently. Because that's the other thing for me, is that I need to like the art style as well. But like, you know, I think it's gorgeous. I think that it does the character justice. And I know that volume 5 is coming out in July, and I will be getting it. I want to see how this continues. So I'm going to give this honestly, I'm giving Poison Ivy a 10 out of 10. I have no notes. Just a good, solid read. If you like the character, you're gonna love this. Last thing that I read in April was Do a Powerbomb by Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer. And I thought this was a solid standalone story. It follows a young woman whose mother was a pro wrestler who passed away in the ring, and she is trying to also become a pro wrestler, but there's kind of a stigma because she was, you know, the daughter of one of the best, and she's trying to prove herself on her own. And as she is going through trying to kind of prove herself, she ends up in a competition that has people and creatures from other worlds competing. Editing Matt here. One thing I'd missed with Do a Powerbomb is the daughter enters the competition because it's being run by a necromancer who promises that whoever wins gets to bring one person back to life. That's literally the whole crux of the freaking book, and I completely forgot about it because I'm stupid. Anyways. And I think that it's just such a fun premise. And it goes into a lot of her feelings about her mother and how she passed away and the relationship that she has with her father, who feels a lot of guilt over the mother's death, all while fighting interdimensional opponents in a alternate universe space ring. And I think that it's so over the top in some ways that I really, really enjoy. I like a lot of the concepts. My biggest, I would say, critique or gripe, and this doesn't feel entirely fair because I understand a lot of the times with these like short one-shot sort of stories, there are deadlines and there are things that like you have to cut and all that kind of jazz. I just think I wish that there was a little bit more room to breathe. And I feel like this would have done well with a little bit more exploration to the dynamics of the main character and her wrestling partner. And I think they did the best they can. I was also, there's a reveal at one point that I wasn't super jazzed about, but I also think that it works with the story. I'm not like mad about it, but I was like, this feels, for me, it feels less impactful. I feel like a lot of people who would read it would find it more impactful, but I thought it kind of cheapened. But that's just me. That's my own feelings about it. But it's very zany. It's a lot of fun. I do like the art style. It's very pretty. It's very dynamic. It's very dynamic. It has a lot of heart. I did cry at certain points. It's good. I think that a little bit more could have been done with it. And so I'm giving it 7 out of 10. Solid is good. If you like family drama and a lot of flashy violence, you'd really enjoy this. And I think that even though my gripe was that I feel like the main character isn't nearly as fleshed out, I feel like they do very well with the side characters and you really feel for them as well. So that is everything I read in April. I want to get more into it. I have already read a few graphic novels as of now, the first week of May, and I really want to continue this because I think this is fun, and I like kind of doing a casual breakdown of everything I read. I love comics, and I don't have a lot of people to talk about comics with, so I like having this to yap. So yeah, if you want to, go ahead and give this a like. If you want more of this kind of thing, go ahead and subscribe, please. Comment down below if you've read any of these, what your thoughts on them are. If you have differing opinions, let me know. I like hearing other people's feelings and thoughts on things. And that will be it. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.